Guys, so today I want to talk about my experience as a new grad nurse, like what you need to know or things you may not know while you're in school, or things I realized. I really like, and though if you see me like looking down a little, because like on my other videos I have the paper up on screen, I literally have to have my thoughts written down because it won't make sense if it comes on camera. So, but yeah. I'm gonna start with the first point, which is like being a new grad is like exciting. Like it's it's because you work so hard, like you've had like sleepless nights reading, memorizing values, blah 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 blah. So it was really tough. So like it's like a really great sense of accomplishment, like if you know what I mean, like because you work so hard, like you worked so hard and you pray every day and you read every day. Some days you don't sleep, you're reading, taking exams, like you're literally having like a heart attack every week because you're taking exams. Yeah, so it's very like exciting. It's like you're happy, you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I made it. So yeah, so in school you're really busy. Every week you're having like a lot of stuff to do, exams, there's a point where like like I had a lot of stuff to do, like I had plans of doing stuff, but then there was a time when like I sort of like lost motivation, like I didn't have like a routine set up and things, so I started like getting bored. So I got bored because you're applying and stuff for school, for jobs, and you get bored, you get impatient because you want to start working. So jobs are available. It's like the thing is like, what are you willing to like take? Like, are you willing to work? Like, are you willing to take any amount of pay for the job? Because there are jobs available. It's just you might not want the pay, and it's what you're looking for, So yeah, so I really got in. Was also very, very nervous. I am still nervous because like because you don't know, like the field is completely different from like the classroom. So like I knew what to expect, but I didn't. It's up until I actually started working as a nurse that I actually saw like everything, especially with the COVID. It was difficult for us because we we had to do our care plans at home. Yeah, so it's like kind of like people are like, oh, the nurse over there. You're like, wait, is it me? Oh yeah, I'm the nurse. Oh my god. It's difficult at the beginning because you're like, oh my god, I'm actually a nurse. Like, yeah, you have people's life in your hands. Big deal. Very, very big deal. Very big responsibility. Yeah, so I was a little bit nervous because I don't have much experience. So I was very nervous. I don't want to kill anyone. So, but yeah, so that's the first thing. It's exciting, just like I said. It's very exciting, but then you get bored, like doing nothing at home because you're so used to getting things done, like boom boom, what's the next thing, boom, what's the next thing, boom, and then you're like, when everything is done, you're like, okay, so what am I doing next? Yeah, so I get bored. Specifically, I'm the type of person that gets bored like really easily. So yeah. The second thing is nursing at the bedside. No one really tells you, like, people tell you that, but you don't believe it. It's not like in the movies. It's very, very stressful, especially if you have like one nurse to like 43 patients ratio, and you look at the pay, like that pay is not enough to care for 43 patients and one nurse. Like, it's not just like taking care, you know what I mean? Like you have to administer medication, you have to do some tasks, like do like wound care, wound dressing changes, you have to assess. I'm an LPN, so I don't do at least the initial assessment, but at work they kind of make you assess. So you have to assess wound dressing changes, administer medication, whether it's through the IV pump. I don't do IVs because I'm an LPN, but I can flush and administer medication through the IV pump. What was the other thing? Yeah, and then people calling you like, here, oh nurse, this person needs this, nurse, this person needs to go to the bathroom. You're like, you know what, go see the CNA. I have a lot of things I have to do right now. Like, it is very, very stressful. You're constantly being called back and forth. You have to really know how to like prioritize and manage your time, which is what we learn at school. Again, now I understand why they keep saying prioritize your time, nurse management, blah 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 blah. That's very important. So you have tasks to accomplish. So I want to say, even for me, there was a time when like nursing school and the actual job is completely different, in terms that like, okay, in school they tell you like, okay, this is what you're supposed to do if this thing happens, if this other episode happens, what you're supposed to do. I'm gonna give you an example. When it comes to like a urinalysis, there's like a whole protocol as to how to do a proper urinalysis according to the text. But then when you get to the field, like you know what you're supposed to do. You know what the stuff is supposed to look like. You might never have seen it, but you know what you do. But then when it's there, you're like, okay, where is the urinalysis? Where is the specimens cup? Okay, how do you guys write the patient's name on here? Do you do it after or do you do it before? But then again, your patient could be like the patient that I had. He was not like, I don't want to say a regular patient. He was not like a walking patient, and he was incontinent. So I couldn't really just follow the book. I had to think differently and be like, well, what can I do? So I could, use one of those what are they called again? But yeah, it's just to tell you, like, this guy, I got a hat for him to sit on. And he sat on the hat and he would not pee on the hat. So then he got up from the chair, from the toilet, and peed on the floor. Like, literally, he peed on the floor. He didn't pee inside the hat. He peed on the floor. And I was like, Mr. Number 2, what? I asked you to pee in the hat and you peed on the floor. So then I had to be quick and be like, okay, you know what? He's peeing right now. Let him pee, whatever. And then I just took the hat from the toilet with my gloves and just put it under him. And then he peed inside it. But think about it, like, infection comes, like, being a nurse is like, I don't mean to be like harsh, I'm a nurse too, but like being a nurse is like being kind of like a waitress. That's how I felt like a waitress, at least in a skilled nursing facility where I worked. I learned so much. Again, that's another topic, but I felt like a waitress because like I had to give these medication to this amount of patients. I had all these tasks I had to do by a certain amount of time. And I had to give I had to communicate with the family, and I had to like, even with the patient itself, I had to like be nice. I had to, which is, I'm a nice person. Again, it works with me, but I had to be nice. At the same time, I had to be stern. At the beginning, I worked only for 6 days at that skilled facility, but at the beginning it was really tough. Because you had to find a balance between like being like a really caring nurse and being like, you know what, take your medication, rather than, do you want to take your med? Be like, here's your medication, okay, it's your morning medication. Because if you say, do you want to take it, they're gonna be like, well, yeah, I don't want to take it. But yeah, it's like being a waitress. You have to manage your time. You know what they like, how they like to take their medication, when they want to take it, how do they want to be dressed up for the day. That's mostly CNA job, but like as a nurse too, if the CNA is not there, you are gonna have to do it. And another thing is like the CNA are gonna hide, so you have to know your CNAs, blah 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 blah. I can talk about that in a different video, but yeah. So yeah, for me, I felt like I was a waitress, and the doctors were sort of like the chefs, or the one that made the recipes and stuff. Like, this person had this is what they need. Kind of like the dietitian being like the doctor, that type of thing. And then like the nurses being like, oh yeah, this is what the doctor ordered for you. Here, I'm administering it for you. How are you feeling? Is it good? Oh, how are you feeling? How did that medication help you? Oh, nice, great. Okay, next person. And the pharmacists are like the cooks. That's how I look at it. That's how I felt. That's the way I feel. But then again, yeah. And And then the other thing I want to say is, like, so when I look at all of this, I'm like, I'm the type of person that likes to work independently, and as a nurse, you have to work with multiple people. Like, you have to work with a doctor, you have to understand the doctor, to communicate effectively with the doctor, and then you have other nurses that you have to communicate with. Like, you have to speak with other nurses, and then you have the family that you have to speak to. Again, I have another story about that from work. I only worked at a skilled nursing facility for 6 days, and so many things happened. Oh my god, so many things happened. I can talk about that in different videos. But yeah, like the family member, the doctor, other nurses, the CNAs, like the dietitians, the pharmacist, yeah, so you're constantly communicating with different people, and you have to do it in a timely manner, like, and you have to document everything, because if you don't, you have to cover your butt. You know, you have to do whatever you do, you document. And yeah, that's what it is, because if you don't document, you didn't do it. Yeah, and from all of this, what I would like to say is, like, I like to do my own thing, but then again, like, I'm not experienced, you know. I have all this knowledge, but I'm not experienced. So I could have stayed at that facility and learned some more, and a lot, because like I said, it was only 6 days. But then I have some personal things that I cannot talk about now that, you know, came on. So now I had to do, I'm now a home health nurse rather than like a bedside nurse. But that's because of something, and again, I can't talk about it now. But like I said to myself, I'm gonna work, once I'm done with all that I'm doing, I'm gonna work at a bedside for about 2 years or a year, or even if for a year. And then I was actually thinking, like I said, even before all this, I wanted to be a doctor. And like I said, the second best thing to a doctor is a nurse, and a nurse job and a doctor's job is completely different. Again, mind you, both of the jobs are very stressful, and I tend to get stressed really easily. So I mean, like, I'm gonna have to find, like, I notice I'm better off working with like at most 6 or 7 patients, not 40, you know, maybe 20. I can maybe build myself up and get experience and work with 20 patients. But I don't see myself, I could, you know, never say never, I could work with 40 patients, but I think what I would like is to work with 3 or 4 patients. That's what I want to do. That's what I would like to do in the, like, later on with my career. And I think I see myself like as a school nurse, like, you know, a school nurse where I work, I make decisions on my own, obviously with experience, or even on a med-surg floor. Again, I can talk about like, because I'm like very analytical, and I feel like I will be best like with working with 4 patients or 5 patients, like looking at, okay, what could be wrong, administering a certain medication because of this happened, you know. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah. If I don't get to be a nurse practitioner and stuff, then, because I mean that's also very stressful, you know. All of those jobs come with a lot of responsibilities, which I think I can handle. But we're gonna start off now and then move up and see where we go. But eventually I see myself being more like the brain behind a company, the brain behind a hospital, like management maybe, or I don't know. I see myself being like behind the scene type of boss, you know. Even though I'm really trying my best. I'm really trying my best to, because I'm a nurse. As a nurse, you are you're in charge of people. So yeah, within those 6 days, by the 6 days at the skilled facility, I started feeling like a real nurse, you know, like, okay, you do this, can you do this, please do this, I'm gonna be doing that, you know. I started feeling more like independent, and I felt more comfortable in I had 4 patients. I was responsible for 4 patients though. Yeah, so by the 6th day I was already picking up patients, doing my task, administering medications and doing wound dressing changes, and like vital signs and things like that. Yeah, so that's what you need to know. I hope I wasn't all over the place again, because I mean, everything is connected to everything. I hope you liked the video. Again, this is Charlene. Sonia, Charlene Afrik, peace out. I mean, bye. All right, I need to go to work.